Hey there, Cowboys fan! We need to talk about something that's been buzzing around social media and dominating the headlines lately: Micah Parsons' contract situation. It seems like every day, there's more chatter about it, right? There's an increasing frenzy around the Cowboys front office, and for good reason. Micah Parsons has become one of the most valuable players on the roster, and securing him to a long-term deal is now a top priority. But here's the thing, despite all this buzz, there's still so much uncertainty about the actual details of the deal. What's the right amount for a player like Parsons? Should the Cowboys go all in to lock him down? It's one of those decisions that will have a huge impact on the team's future, and it's causing a lot of mixed feelings in Cowboys Nation. Now, let's remember one thing about Micah Parsons. He's made it clear in interviews that he's not chasing the highest salary. In fact, he said he'd be just as happy with $30 million as he would be with $40 million. What really matters to him is building a solid team foundation and playing with great teammates. He wants the Cowboys to be aggressive in free agency and bring in the right players to complement the defense. Still, despite his humble approach, Parsons' contract is more than just about what he wants. It's about securing the future of the defense, and at this point, waiting any longer could mean the Cowboys end up overpaying to keep him. Voiceover prompt: Cowboys fans, what do you think about the ongoing contract negotiations with Micah Parsons? Do you think the Cowboys will strike a deal that benefits both sides? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We'll get into why this delay could hurt the Cowboys financially, but before we dive into that, let's take a quick look at the Cowboys' track record with financial decisions and how it plays into this current situation. So as we explore the reasons why the Cowboys might overpay for Parsons, let's first look back at how Jerry Jones has handled the cap in the past. It's not always been smooth sailing. Now that we've set the stage for Micah Parsons' contract, let's take a look at the bigger picture. If we're talking about potential overpaying, we need to understand the Cowboys' financial history. Jerry Jones has made some bold decisions over the years when it comes to managing the salary cap. Some have worked out, others not so much. It's no secret that Jerry Jones has had his share of cap management struggles. In fact, he's openly admitted that managing the cap hasn't been his strongest suit in recent years. From big contracts handed out to star players like Ezekiel Elliott and Dak Prescott, to the tricky negotiations with various free agents, the Cowboys have been walking a fine line when it comes to financial flexibility. We've seen these decisions shape the team's current situation. While the Cowboys have a solid roster on paper, their cap space has often been tight, leaving little room for quick adjustments or long-term planning. This is where Parsons' contract becomes even more crucial. The Cowboys' front office is now in a tough spot. They need to make the right call on Parsons, but doing so could mean pushing their financial limits even further. Looking at Parsons' delayed contract is key here, because this isn't the first time the Cowboys have been slow to act. Remember the contract negotiations for other top players like Myles Garrett? The Browns didn't hesitate, they locked him down before his value skyrocketed. Parsons, on the other hand, is in a similar position, and as time goes on, his price tag is only going to increase. Do you think Jerry Jones and the Cowboys management should have acted sooner? Or do you think they're handling it the right way? Let us know in the comments. The delay in signing Parsons could lead to even higher demands, pushing the Cowboys into a position where overpaying becomes a real possibility. But what if they wait too long? The consequences could be severe, and the Cowboys might find themselves in a situation where they have no choice but to pay a premium to keep him. This brings us to a bigger issue: market inflation. With the salary of top edge rushers continuing to rise, the Cowboys may be forced to pay more than they initially expected. Let's explore that next. Now, let's dive into one of the biggest reasons why the Cowboys might end up overpaying for Micah Parsons' market trends. If you've been paying attention to the NFL lately, you'll know that the market for pass rushers has exploded. Just look at guys like Myles Garrett and Max Crosby. They've set new benchmarks for edge rusher salaries, and this is all happening as Parsons' contract negotiations heat up. Here's the thing, while Parsons is undeniably one of the best players in the league, he's not necessarily the top pass rusher. That title might still belong to guys like Garrett or Crosby. But the way the market is shaping up, Parsons is going to be paid like he's at the top of that list. It's not about what he's done specifically in comparison to others, it's about the fact that the market is pushing salaries higher across the board. Think about it, a few years ago, a contract in the $30 million range was considered massive for a pass rusher. But with guys like Garrett and Crosby earning close to $30 million per year, Parsons could find himself pushing for a similar deal or even more. His earlier comment about being happy with a deal in that range might not be as realistic as it once seemed. His agent, knowing the current market dynamics, is likely to push for a deal that matches or exceeds those numbers. Do you think Parsons deserves top-tier money? Or do you believe the Cowboys should aim for a more reasonable deal? Vote now in the poll. Here's the dilemma. If Parsons' camp leverages the current market trends, the Cowboys might find themselves in a position where they're forced to pay significantly more than they anticipated. And it's not just about Parsons' personal value, it's about where the market is going. The longer the Cowboys wait to lock him down, the more they risk paying more than they should. So what does this mean for the Cowboys financially? If they don't move quickly, they might be looking at some serious financial consequences. Let's take a look at that next. Now that we've discussed the rising market and how it could push the Cowboys into overpaying for Micah Parsons, let's take a step back and look at the financial consequences of such a decision. The first thing that comes to mind when you think about overpaying Parsons is how it could limit the Cowboys' ability to make other key acquisitions in free agency. The NFL is a salary cap league, meaning that every dollar spent on one player is a dollar not available to spend elsewhere. If the Cowboys are forced to shell out top-tier money for Parsons, that's money that won't be available to lock down other important players or make significant moves in free agency. Think about players like Trey Hendrickson, who could be a game-changer on the defensive line, or even reinvesting in depth positions that the Cowboys have been neglecting. If Parsons' contract consumes too much cap space, the Cowboys might find themselves stuck in a position where they can't improve other parts of the team that need attention. Do you think the Cowboys are better off locking in Parsons early, or are they risking too much by waiting? Let's talk about it in the comments. Then, there's the question of the short-term versus long-term impact. In the short term, locking in Parsons early might seem like the safer bet. It could give the Cowboys a solid core for years to come. But waiting to negotiate could mean paying more than they should, and that could hurt their ability to build a competitive roster in the future. But is it worth it? Are the Cowboys better off locking him down early for a potentially better deal, or are they risking a lot by waiting only to pay more down the line? So with all that said, what's the reality here? It's clear the Cowboys are in a tight spot, and they might not have much choice but to overpay. Let's explore why this might be the only option they have moving forward. Here we are, the final chapter. The bottom line is this. Despite everything that's been said about Micah Parsons' contract situation, despite his comments about team success being more important than money, the Cowboys might have no choice but to overpay him. Let's face it, waiting too long to make a move has put them in a tough spot. The market has already shifted, and the demand for top-tier edge rushers is higher than ever. If the Cowboys wait any longer, they risk seeing Parsons' price tag go up, possibly beyond what they were originally willing to pay. It's a tricky situation, and one that might have been avoided if the Cowboys acted sooner. How do you feel about the Cowboys' decision to possibly overpay for Parsons? Are you on board with their strategy, or do you think it's a mistake? Let's have that conversation in the comments. But here's the reality. As much as overpaying may not seem ideal, it might be the only way to keep Parsons in the fold and maintain their defensive strength. If the Cowboys want to stay competitive, They might need to take this financial hit in the short term to ensure long-term success. Sometimes, making a tough decision now can pay off down the road, and let's be real, if Parsons becomes the cornerstone of the defense for the next several years, it could be worth the extra investment, even if it means pushing the financial limits. In the end, Jerry Jones and the front office have some tough choices ahead. Overpaying might not be the best option, but it could be the necessary one. The key now is to make sure the Cowboys' long-term plan doesn't suffer because of a short-term decision. So, what do you think? Should the Cowboys bite the bullet and give Parsons the deal he's likely to demand, or do you think they should hold out for a more reasonable contract? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more updates on all things Cowboys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.